What's up, YouTube bass heads, husky thugs out there? What's up, guys? So I've got a bit of a how-to, a tutorial video for you guys today. I'm going to show you how to wire up something, and then once we do the tutorial, I'm going to actually demonstrate how to wire this up in my car. So what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about one of these bass knobs. Right? We all know that, well, if you've been following me, you know that I'm doing a little bit of a rebuild, remodeling in my car. Went to that IFO show and want to make some changes. So since we got everything pulled out, we're going to be changing up the bass knob setup. I don't really like that telephone style knob that comes with the amp. It's got the little clip light on it, and that's cool, but I just don't really like those. They don't seem that accurate to me. And then I've used a really cheap line level, RCA level bass knob before, but I think I was getting some feedback from that. So we're gonna try that again, but I'm gonna go with a little bit higher end bass knob, but we'll get to that. Why are we doing this? Well, I wanna run a line level RCA level bass knob, and I want to be able to control the mids and highs separately from the bass. I've seen a lot of rides that do that, and it is freaking awesome, right? Sometimes you turn the volume all the way up and those tweeters are just like screaming in your ear, and it's like, man, I wish I could turn that down just a little bit. But if I turn it down at the head unit, then the whole system comes down, including the bass. We don't want that. So we want two bass knobs, one for the mids and highs and one for the bass. So this video, guys, will be me taking you through how to set that up.
Cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. That's how you get big box, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient.
It's this guy right here. It is just a dual bass knob. You can see it's all in one housing. It's got a little holster that you can mount to your dash and use it that way, right? It's got two separate controllers on it. This came from L.A.F, loud as you know what. I asked on a couple of forums, what bass knobs do you guys like? And this was the one that was recommended, was by them. All right, so the idea here is, let's take that holster off. Here, we'll put this down. All right, the idea here is this one, or one of these here, will control your mids and highs, and the other one will control your bass. All right. Now I got a couple of things here to demonstrate how this wires up. We've got our head unit, and it has to have RCA outputs to like a front, left, and right, which this one does. And it has to have subwoofer outputs, which this one does. It also has rear, left and right outputs right there too, but we're gonna be using these two and this one. Now this one only has a mono subwoofer, so I just put this little Y splitter on the end of it. Anyway, so we got our head unit. And then if you wanna do this, you have to have one of these, a DSP. Something that is controlling your mids and highs. We'll get to that in a minute, but you have to have one of these. Now we've got our 4-channel amp, and we've got our bass amp, right? This Tower Amps HD 2000 and this Down for Sound JP84. All right, so that's the equipment you have to run this setup. And we got some RCAs to kind of help us demonstrate. All right, so a quick little rundown of what has to happen. You're basically taking your mids and highs signal from these guys here, and you're running it through your bass knob to your DSP, from your DSP to your 4-channel, right? So you can see this has 2 sets, an in and out for this bass knob and an in and out for this bass knob. And you can see they are labeled. See, I think if you can see that says input, and these say out. But anyway, so let's get that wired up. All right, guys, so as you can see, I'm gonna try to keep these wires separated so that you can see what we've done. But basically we got the RCAs running out the back of this into the bass knob, and then out of the bass knob into the DSP, right? So then what we gotta do, well, let me show you that a little bit more. Right, this DSP has an input, right? That's where it's getting the signal. All these are outputs. Right, so these go to your amps. All right, so let's wire that up. Now we want to take a signal from our DSP to our 4-channel. Now this typically would take 4 channels, but I'm just going to use 1 for the sake of demonstration, or 2 rather. All right, so now we've got this set up all the way that we want it, right? We got our signal coming out of the head unit into the bass knob, then out of the bass knob into the DSP, then out of the DSP into the 4-channel. Okay, so if you guys can envision this, this now is your volume controller for that, right? I turn my volume all the way up on this, and then I can control the volume or the voltage that is seeing. So now any amp coming off of this, 4 channels, whatever you've got coming off of this, you can control the voltage input right here. So there's your volume knob for your 4-channel. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is run the volume knob or the bass knob to our bass amp. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take our bass signal out of the head unit, run it into the bass knob, out of the bass knob into our mono amp. All right, so now you guys can see that. That's basically like the way you would hook up any RCA level bass knob if you guys have done that before. You're taking your RCA out of your head unit into the input side of your bass knob, out of the output side into your amp. Now you've got a bass knob right here for those subwoofers. All right, now I know we've got kind of a jumbled mess here. That's why I took you guys through it step by step, but now basically what we've done is we've got a volume controller for that, which controls that. Then we got a bass knob or a volume controller for that coming right out of the head unit, right? So that's how you wire that up, guys. I can't really think of a simpler way to do it. You can turn those screaming tweeters up and down here. Then you can turn that sweet, sweet bass up and down right here. All right, well, now that we know how to wire that up, let's take it to my car. So this is what your car ends up looking like when you're trying to rewire everything. So remember, we're putting this dual, line level bass knob in here. So we're gonna have one of them controlling this bad boy right here, and then that's gonna go to our 4-channel. That is gonna be removed. And then of course the other knob is gonna be controlling the bass amplifier. And we got these 2 knobs here. This is the the bass knob that came with that incriminator amp, and this is the knob for that. Basically NVX's version of a, oh, what do you call it? That bass modulation device. Why can't I think of the name of it? Anyway, we're going to be removing all that, and then we're going to be mounting this, you know, where those things went right there. So anyway, that's just an updated step. We got all that pulled out too, because we got some wiring there that we have to remove that goes up into the dash. So, you know, a lot of work every time you decide to do something like this. All right, guys, this is going to be kind of hard to see just because I got a rat's nest here. But we're getting everything wired up. Right, I got my 2 outputs from the head unit, and those come through here, right behind the dash, and then they all come through this little grommet, cut myself, little grommet hole that I've had in here anytime I want to run a bass knob, right, and it spits out right there. So let's see if I can just kind of click that into place. All right, and this is, I'm going to clean all this up, but I've got my little holster right here. I'm also going to have to figure out something to do here. I don't like all those holes, but this would not fit up here. It covered that hole. Anyway, so I got my holster for my knob. It'll come, let's see if I can zoom out a little bit. Yeah. See, it'll sit about right here so I can hold it in my lap and then just holster it back right there under the dash. Okay, so the way this works then, you've got an in and an out, right? It's just 2 bass knobs. So coming in from the radio, right, into the knob, and then out to the amps. So this one is going all the way back to the subwoofer amplifier. And where is it? This one is going to go right here to my DSP. And then I can control the level coming from the going into the DSP. And then that way when I turn this knob, everything that is connected to the DSP will turn up and down, which will be my 4-channel amp over there. I hope that makes sense, guys. I know it looks like a lot, but we can go through it again. This is just kind of where I'm at right now. All right, getting everything plugged back in here. You see I got my 2 there on the top going to my bass knob or my remote level, and then my DSP, and then those 2 down there on the bottom are going to my remote level knob, and then coming out to my subwoofer. Right, so those top 2, my front channels, are being controlled here by this first knob, and then controlling that. Then all of these wires are going to the amp. Then the subwoofer level out from the stereo is coming to this second knob, and then that is going out to the subwoofer. So let's see. All right, stereo comes on, DSP comes on. Good, okay, so we know that all works now. Let's start putting some of this other stuff back together. All right, update time, guys. I got this wrapped up with this Tessa tape. It just looked better. I had these on there before, but they just looked cheap and kind of crappy with all the zip ties. So that looks better. That holster gives me a lot of length here. See, can I zoom out a little bit? Yeah, there we go. See, got plenty of length to hold this in my hand while I'm doing demos. And then when I'm done, it just goes right back in there. Okay, and on this side, we got all the speaker wires run. We got ferrules in there this time. All right, got me a kit of wire ferrules. So hopefully I don't send this amp too. All right, no stray wires hanging out anywhere. These are all taped up. These were just some tweeters and they're taped up. I'm gonna use them again once I swap these tweeters out. But anyway, all right, getting about ready to start putting this thing back together. Okay, so now that we got everything turned on, we want to check the gains. We want to check the gain on this thing and have it set. Now remember, you got to do this in sequence, right? Like, I have my stereo turned up to volume 30, because as I know, sorry, there's my finger, because I know that's as high as I'm ever going to play it, you know, to avoid distortion. Then you have to get your knob, let's see, that would be this one, and turn it up all the way, right? Because you know that that's as loud as that's going to be. Okay, I already know the gain on this is set at 0. I know the gain on this is turned all the way down, and I've got my leads plugged in right there. So let's take this bad boy right here. This is that SMD. Looks like 1,000 hertz. At negative, at 0 dB is track 2. So let's put that in there.
Hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. That's how you get big box, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top?